Good morning, gang. It's Joyce Welsh with Skipping Calves Farms. Um, just thought I'd give a morning update on our chores. The sun's just now coming up from behind the trees. Since the sheep have gotten here, they're still behind the only poultry pen I have. So regrettably, my chickens have been consigned back into their chicken tractor. We just moved it this morning, and we'll pan back in here and see if we can get you to see in here. So kind of through the fencing. So here are the birds. They've just been moved, so they're foraging inside the chicken tractor. And but they've gotten kind of used to being out and about every day and aren't the happiest campers, but it's only temporary while I'm training the sheep. So we'll just have to make do with the resources that we have. But there's Copper Top. She was supposed to be a black Australorp, but I think she may be a French Copper Moran instead, just without the feathers. So anyway, I digress. Let's go back here and I'll show you what I've done so far this morning with the sheep. I'm not doing a lot of changes today. I've actually been in the pen, made the adjustments, and opened the fold, and the little ram lamb is the only one who's gotten up. They were all three in there on the hay, chewing their cud this morning, and he got up here just a minute ago while I was working with the chicken tractor. So there's a couple of changes. Number one, yesterday afternoon, I went and added a tarp over the top of that blanket. I left the blanket up so the tarp wouldn't get cut on the sharp edges of the cattle panels. And that'll just give them a little bit more shade, and the shade kind of goes down on the side. They weren't quite sure what to do with that last night. Now, as far as the poultry pen itself and the perimeter poly braid line and steel fence wire lines that I put in across yesterday, those have not changed. What has changed, as you can see here, I've put in a poly braid line with stepping posts. Let me zoom back out and I'll walk the other direction so the light should be better here. There's a lot of dew on the ground this morning. Oh man, what a beautiful Thursday. It's a great day. It's a great day on the farm. Oh man, I don't know if that shows up there, but the sun coming through and hitting the moisture in the air kind of makes it glow. So now I'm at the opposite end of the poultry pen, and the poultry pen has not been changed, and the line's right next to the poultry pen with the step ends, and the pigtails, I've not modified those. What I have done is, you can see that reel, I've added something. Yesterday afternoon, I added that hay, thinking that they might be interested in it, and they didn't touch it a whole lot, just a little bit. But I went ahead and added a row of step-ins across this end, taking probably the 8 or 10 feet off the end of the paddock. That angled corner right here, this whole angled corner section, they will have to go past that hot poly braid reel. Now, kind of doing everything on the fly and kind of Okay, what are we going to do today? What I did was, we can go over here and I'll show you. You can see it better angle here, I think. Well, no, you really still can't see it too well. Let me just walk on around. On that poly braid, I've just got a fence handle tied to the end of it. That I may change over time, but that's what was on there this morning, so I just left it on there. And I looped it several times around the lower tensile wire. And then hooked it through the step ends across at what would be the lower range of their normal one wire height. And then going back over here, now if you'll notice, I'm not using one of the 3-geared really good reels. I've got them, but I've got a much smaller property. So I learned about these reels from Russ Wilson in Pennsylvania. It's just a single-geared plastic reel. I got these at Fence for like 15 bucks a piece. You can get replacement spools, you can get replacement handles. They do have a simple little locking mechanism on them. And for me, when, from one end of my paddock, here you can see the main corner structure, over to the north end of my paddock, that run is only 250 feet. So I'm not going to be doing any quarter-mile runs on this particular piece of property. So for now, these reels work out really, really well for me. They're a lot more lightweight and they're a lot less expensive. So I was able to get 5 reels for, the price of one, just about. And so that's what I chose to do. And for a real small scale and a real tight budget, I think it's something to really seriously consider. I don't have a 4-wheeler. All of my fence taken out and putting upward is going to be done on foot. I'm not and have never been accused of being fleet of foot. So I really don't know at this moment the 3-in-1 gear ratio. So for me, this little inexpensive reel that I got from Kenco Fencing is going to work for me. Is it the best commercial grade quality stuff that's going to last forever? Probably not. But that's not where I'm at right now. So for me, with where I'm at, that will work for now. I am planning for that, but I have to deal with where I'm at and plan for where I want to be. So as the sun started to hit the pasture, the other 2 ewes have gotten up and started grazing as well. I've noticed this morning and a little bit yesterday afternoon, whether it's because they've grazed all the low-lying fruit, so to speak, or not, or that the lower stuff, more of it is being fouled or not, they're grazing a little bit higher, especially the lamb. The lamb started doing that first, but the other 2 are grazing some of the seed stalks on the grass that they weren't doing before. So they were in ruminating when I came out, and now they're out and enjoying the edge of the sun. And we'll see how that poly braid goes. Now, that's the whole purpose of putting that second poly braid across, is to have another low wire that they can see, and for them to get used to the step-ins. Now, if you'll notice, those step-ins are only about 5 or 6 feet apart. And that was done deliberately. Because I'm not trying to trick these guys into getting shocked. I'm trying to let these guys know you need to keep your eyes open and pay attention. Where you see step-ins and where you see that wire, you don't want to stick your head underneath it, because it's not like a woven panel fence. So anyway, this is where we're at this morning, and let's see, they're getting kind of close to it now. I don't know if they're going to approach that or not. I did over here where the ram lamb and the younger, is it the younger ewe? No, that's the older ewe. Where the ram lamb is, there's a big patch of grass. Let's walk over there so we'll see if we can see. I don't want to disturb them, actually. Let me just zoom in. You can see there's kind of a good sized patch of grass in front of that little ram lamb. He's chewing on those getting those seed tips off of the sprouts. But I kind of did that on purpose, thinking that perhaps, while they're busy grazing, they may graze into it without paying much attention, and then it will get their attention. So I really would like to try and get them trained as soon as I can. So then what I'll be able to do is more efficiently and effectively move them once a day or so. So this is how our day is starting this morning, gang. And we've got a little bit of sun here on the pasture. We've got the sun coming up. You can kind of see the rays coming up back here in the corner of the pasture. That's where the sun's coming up this time of year. And so here we go. They're getting over here and getting kind of close, and they got up to it and turned away. So that's a good sign. We'll keep an eye on them today as we're doing our chores. And they got zapped a couple times yesterday, early on in the day, but they seemed to pay pretty good heed to it later in the day. So we may be getting there. So Lord willing, and the creeks don't rise, we'll be able to get them out of this poultry pen, be able to get the poultry pen back around my birds, and be able to do more effective rotational grazing with the sheep. So I was able to inspect my hives yesterday, and I hadn't gotten to them in a timely manner, and I had one hive swarm on me and had gone queenless, but looks like we may have gotten a queen back, and we should be good. Should be good going forward. Either way, that's just part of life on the farm when you're running different kinds of critters, and that is something to consider. Now, I started with bees. That was my first animal on the property, and I started with bees because when I first started a small little garden, let me come back here so we can watch the critters, watch them graze. When I first started a real small kind of container garden, I had corn, and my corn didn't get pollinated. It ended up looking like corn cob with warts. And so that's when I got started with bees and looking into that situation. That's going to be a difficult, because the European honeybee is the most productive bee on the planet. African honeybees and Asian honeybees are just not nearly as productive in pollinating. And depending upon the numbers you want to look at and pull out, between 30 and 60% of the world's total food supply is pollinated by the honeybee. And the European honeybee is on the, I think it's still on the endangered species list. So we've got a lot of work to do towards healing the planet. And I think one of the things that we can do ourselves is just make sure that we've got sustainable, healthy soils. So we've got sustainable, healthy plants, and we've got sustainable, healthy animals. And there's just so much interconnectedness globally, not only on an economic and financial and trade situation, but you know, everything is linked. So when you spray this or you treat that, it ends up in that stream of chemistry. If I'll kind of pull a science perspective out, those chemicals don't disappear. Something happens to them. Are they totally inert? Or do they just kind of get diluted down? Well, if you have something that's 100% strong and it gets diluted down to 10%, well, that's good. Unless you get 10 doses of it, now you're back up to a total of 100% strength or impact. So it's something that you just need to be aware of and try and minimize as many sources as we can, in as many different ways as we can. And the best way to let people know that it's important to us is to vote with our wallet. You know, I spend a little bit more money getting organic stuff, and that is a challenge for me. But I pick and choose what I get in terms of organic, and I don't eat out and I don't eat processed like I used to. So I do have the funds to get the organic butter and other items that are important to me. So anyway, let me get off of that soapbox. It looks like the sheep are really getting settled in and they're comfortable. I've tried to spend some time out here during the course of the day just being here. They're kind of getting used to me. And they had no problem with walking all the way up, you know, grazing here on this poly wire, which is, I guess, about 6 or 8 feet. So they did what's kind of normal. They came all the way to this end of the paddock, away from the sheepfold. So they came basically straight down here and grazed around here and around, and now they're going off to the other side. So with that, I'm going to sign off on this video for this morning, and encourage you, if you like, please subscribe and like, and Lord willing, you'll be able to soon spend a day on the property and wake up to dealing with the chickens and dealing with the sheep instead of having to deal with folks and stuff and other people's trash and garbage at work. Because you know what? Animals don't lie. If they like what you're doing, they're going to let you know. If they don't like what you're doing, you're going to let you know. But you're never going to have to worry about any of them stabbing you in the back. Maybe butting you in the butt, but you won't have to ever worry about them stabbing you in the back. In the meantime, gang, I hope you have a blessed day. And whatever you do, keep chasing the dream.